Running backs versus receivers, part 1. Who would you rather have? And if it's format specific, that's fine. Who would you rather have, Derrick Henry or Cooper Kupp?
Cooper Kupp.
Cooper Kupp in non and half PPR, Derrick Henry, or Cooper Kupp in full and half PPR, Derrick Henry and non.
Yes, I would agree. I actually moved. I already had Justin Jefferson ahead of Henry, and I moved Jamar Chase ahead of him also.
And when do you draft your first wide receiver, be it Kupp or Jefferson? How many running backs have to come off the board in, let's say, a half or a full PPR league?
3.
Yep. Pick number 4. It's Kupp and Jefferson, or 4 and 5.
Does 2 receiver versus 3 receiver matter in that decision?
Not with those 2.
Not with Chase for me either in PPR.
Well, the way you said that, Jamie, it makes it sound like Chase would be your 4th pick.
Chase would be my 6th pick.
Okay.
I would not take Chase over the 3 running backs I have ranked ahead of Kupp and Jefferson.
Can I just ask you guys real quick about Derrick Henry? Played half a season last year, was the number 1 running back per game. Showed a little bit more in the passing game than we've ever seen, but that went away after a few weeks. But not to say it could come back. Excuse me, it could come back, right? But how do you feel about Derrick Henry in general? Do you think he's super safe, or are we worried about the age and the injury and all that?
I think by definition of what he's been the last couple of years, he's safe. But if this team is bad, which it wouldn't shock me if they are, and he's not scoring, then you're going to be in trouble. Because I don't think 35 catches from Derrick Henry is going to save him if he's not 10-plus touchdowns.
But I do think, definitely in non-PPR and half PPR, I'm not sure about full, but like Jonathan Taylor is the only running back being drafted in the first round who I think is definitively safer than Derrick Henry.
Agreed.
All right, next up in our running back versus wide receiver debate, Alvin Kamara will stay in round 1. Alvin Kamara or Jamar Chase?
Chase.
Well, I think you know where I come out on that, so I'm going to take Chase.
Why is Alvin Kamara not being drafted where we used to draft Alvin Kamara? I think he was RB5 last year per game. It's not like he was bad. Why the hesitation on Kamara? He was RB6 per game in non-PPR, RB7 per game in full PPR. So yeah, Heath, why the hesitation on Kamara?
I do think that he will share a little more than he did early in the year last year. When Mark Ingram got back and they played together, it was a big leap that we saw early in the year. And even for the entire year, he averaged 6 more carries per game in 2021 than he did any year before that. And he did not average that type of workload in the running game when Mark Ingram returned to the team.
Oh, yeah. Is that it for you, Jamie? Is it just Mark Ingram?
It's a combination of a lot of things. It's first off, I still think it does seem like it's a small possibility, but it's still a possibility that the video surfaces and something happens midseason. So you just have to keep that in mind when you're talking about him in comparison to some of these other elite level running backs. And I think the guys that I have ranked from I would say have the chance to be just as good, if not better. I am a little bit concerned about the role in the passing game because of the competition for targets that we're going to see that he's never had before. Same thing with Michael Thomas. Chris Olave, Jarvis Landry, those guys are significantly better than anything that duo has had to deal with. And remember, last year, Kamara did not have Michael Thomas on the field. I also think on the flip side of that, and Heath, you sort of said this, but Pete Prisco, who is in New Orleans right now as we speak and was on our CBS Sports HQ Fantasy Football Today show, he seemed to think the opposite, that they may feed Kamara more because that was more of a Sean Payton thing, trying to preserve him for the playoffs. That this new coaching staff, again, I shouldn't say new coaching staff, this promoted coaching staff, because Dennis Allen and Pete Carmichael, the head coach and the offensive coordinator, who were on the staff last year, but they may give him more opportunities to carry the ball early in the season. So he thinks they may actually overwork him. I'm more with you, Heath. I think they still might want to keep a little bit of a cautionary approach with him, but it's more about his role in the passing game that concerns me a little bit, plus the potential fear of any suspension that may come. So if you want to take Kamara 5th overall, 4th overall, I have no problem with that based on him playing 17 games, what he could do, because he still could be great.
All right, next up, round 2. Saquon. Well, round 2 could be round 1 for these guys, but Saquon Barkley or Devontae Adams? Who you taking, Barkley or Devontae?
I'm taking Adams in PPR.
Yeah, I've got Adams one spot ahead of Barkley. I had to hesitate there because I don't remember drafting either of these players this entire summer. But I've got Adams at 19, Barkley at 20.
That was a face I've never seen Heath make before. Very teethy. So you struggled with that one here. And in our consensus overall rankings, they are back-to-back. Adams 16, Barkley 17. And I think I could understand if your answer was just it depends on who you took in the first round. Is that the case with those two? Are they even enough where it could just depend on how you started? Barkley and Adams?
I've just not really had occasion to choose between them, so I'm not sure.
Okay.
That's because you take Andrews all the time.
I take Andrews or DJ Moore.
So you take DJ Moore over Saquon Barkley?
I would.
Gosh, I just feel like I'm going to drink the Barkley Kool-Aid. And he's not going to perform. I'm going to feel like such a dope, but everybody's in. Everybody's in. Why did we fall for it?
Yeah.
Fool you. What do you think, Heath?
I mean, people are into varying degrees. Like we've got the first round Saquon group. We're just going to pretend like the last 3 years didn't happen. And then there's the second round Saquon group, which is still feels like we are really expecting better things from him. And that's where everybody's back in. Looking just at what's happened over the last 4 seasons, I think it would be very reasonable if he was a third round pick.
I like to look back at some of the drafts that we did in the beginning of the summer. And so our magazine draft, where I had the first pick, and at the turn I took Barkley.
Yeah.
And there's no way that's happening. It's like, so to start with Jonathan Taylor and Saquon Barkley feels pretty good right now. To see what that could look like in why didn't I take a receiver there? What was I doing? But yeah, it's fun to look back on where the progression for certain players has gone both directions.
Would you rather have Saquon Barkley in the middle of round 2 or James Conner in the middle of round 3?
Saquon in round 2.
Yeah, that's Saquon.
All right.
Part of the reason.
Oh, go ahead, Jamie.
No, I was gonna say part of the reason why I moved Jamar Chase up is because I was starting to think about this yesterday with the draft we did on Sportsline, where I had the 7th pick, and I'm thinking to myself, why would I take one of these running backs over a guy like Chase when I know in round 2 I could be looking at potentially Barkley, Swift, or Aaron Jones, not in that order necessarily, in most drafts. And I feel like that's a better build.
Yeah, if those guys get there, sure. And ADP suggests they will. All right, last one for now. We'll do more later. Would you rather have Leonard Fournette or Tyreek Hill? Leonard Fournette versus Tyreek Hill.
Fournette.
Yeah, Fournette. I would take Fournette over Adams and Barkley as well. So I've got Hill at the very beginning of round 3 and Fournette as 15th overall.